Hey everybody, welcome back to How to Become a Freelancer in 30 Days. This is Anthony Chatfield. Today we're going to talk about how to establish and build a brand. Obviously, starting from scratch a little bit, so we're going to talk about the process of growing your business through word of mouth and your name, and the value that name is going to have long term. Alright, so the goals for today are going to be talk about how to define who you are and what your online persona will be. We're going to talk about what your clients will think of you when they think of you, and how they will get referrals. Basically, how do you become memorable so that when somebody says to one of your clients, hey, I need a writer, I need a designer, the first thing they think is to recommend you. And then if you were to create a book or project, what would it be about? And how will you build on that brand? That's all way down the line, obviously, but start thinking about it now. What makes you unique? What are your skills? How are you different? What kind of personality do you have? And how can it translate into these things? They're all going to help you get work, but it's also going to be like the next step for all this stuff. Okay, so first things first, some questions I'd like you to ask yourself. I'm not going to read these all to you. I'm going to put them in the notes so you can see what all of them are. But they're basically some basic things to think about as you build out your business. Stuff like what types of projects you want to work on, your speed for expansion. Or do you want to be freelancing for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Do you want to grow this into anything else at all? Do you plan on outsourcing? Do you want to grow to that point? Are you going to build a blog, a Twitter, a Facebook, name for your company, that kind of stuff? Thinking long term about how you're going to build your business and what it's going to look like in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. All things you want to start thinking about now. Getting a little more broad, there are 5 things you should be considering when branding. Specifically, what your niche is. This is something I was not great at. I would just take whatever work came my way. These days, I think of myself as an expert in things like productivity. I get a lot done, and I like writing about it. And to some degree, working from home. I don't work from home now, necessarily, but I did for 8 years. So I have a lot of expertise there. I got a lot done when I worked at home. And then marketing in general, inbound marketing is, that's my professional niche at the moment. And will continue to be, moving forward. So those are areas in which I consider myself to be a particular expert. Those are my niches. As for process, that's going to be like how you work. Are you somebody who can get something done in 24 hours? Or are you somebody who has limited slots for work and it's very hard to hire you and you will do the most amazing work anybody's ever seen? Obviously you want to do that anyways, but it's a matter of how you brand yourself. How does your process play into your branding? Quick turnaround is very different from scarcity and high quality. Even though they can all be together, it's a matter of how you present it. Your rates and your profit margin. How much money do you want to make for the work you do? When you're only doing a few projects here and there, you don't want to charge pennies on the dollar because you're not going to make a lot of money. But when you're just getting started, you need to charge something competitive enough that you can actually, get some work out of it. So it's things to think about. Clients, who do you want to work with? Be picky about this. Please, please, please be picky. I was not early on, and it was bad. I worked for some people I didn't respect and didn't appreciate the work that they had me doing. Some things, ethically questionable in retrospect. Just coming out of college, obviously, I didn't think about it as much. But over time, there was a lot of things that I would no longer work on. I didn't do weight loss products anymore or anything related to them. I wouldn't do anything in the financial realm because I was not a financial expert and didn't want people thinking the content I wrote was, to be taken that way. I would not do anything health related for the same reasons. I would not do a lot of basics. As a writer, I would not do fake testimonials or fake reviews or anything like that. Find where your line is, who you want to work with, and draw it and stick to it. Even if you need the money, it's important to keep those ethics in place. It makes it easier to get work down the line, but also easier to feel good about what you're doing. And then your mediums of communication. How are you going to interact with your audience? Are you hard to find, or do they have to come to you? Are you going to be more inbound focused? You're going to have a blog and a Twitter and a Facebook and a Google Plus and a YouTube and all the whole 9 yards. These are things to start thinking about now. Whether you're going to do them now or not, it's a matter of how you want to think about it long term. All right. And then building on the success of others. This is something that every freelancer should do. And I highly recommend because it's so easy to do. Other freelancers and thought leaders like to help you. Like, if anybody reaches out to me, and I've been running my blog, and for a long time I wrote about freelance topics for years, and I don't get a ton of contacts, but when I do, if somebody's asking me a question like, how do I get into this, or how do I deal with this client problem, I would always, always, always stop and take time and answer that question, because I remember how hard it was to get started. It's one of the reasons I built this course. It's one of the reasons I've written books on this. It's just I want to help other people do this better than I did this. It's hard to get started, so having the tools and the resource and the people around you to help you get going makes it so much easier. So definitely take advantage of that. But always make sure create content that's unique to you. You don't need to be different in any way, but be unique. So when you're going out there and interacting with people, you can take from what they're doing, whether it's website content or their blog or whatever it is they're posting, and you can build on it and have a conversation, not necessarily just rewrite or rebuild. Something to think about there. And then get out there and interact with other people who have done what you're trying to do in person. There are networking events in most major cities for small business owners. Don't go there trying to make money. Just go there and talk to people. You're an expert in what you do, and everybody else is too, but there's a lot of overlap. So if there's a way you can help somebody, if they have a question about copy or design or development, and you can help them, it's going to come back. It always pays you back. They're going to recommend you. It's going to come up somehow. Trust me, it's worth taking the time to help them out. And then own your business and its processes. Don't feel like you need to do things the way other people do them. There's a reason why in this program you're not going to see me tell you, like, this is how you should set up your business, and this is what your workflow should look like, and this is how you should handle projects and clients. It's up to you to utilize kind of the foundational tools and mindsets that I'm talking about and build out one that works for you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's just things I've learned over the years that do and do not work. Think about it in terms of this is how we do it here. It doesn't matter. Like if somebody, and this is going to be especially important as you bring on clients, is because they're going to ask you to do things that maybe don't fit your core ethics. Maybe they want you to write something for less money and say, no, the quality can be lower. I don't care, but I want to pay you less. I've gotten that a lot. And my answer to it is, I don't do that. I don't write low quality content. So if you want a low quality writer, go on Elance or Odesk and put your budget in there. You'll get a bunch of people to bid, and some of them are great. That's fine. People are willing to work for that. I'm not. Somebody who wants me to write about certain topics and be like, no, you did really good on this one. Do this one. Like, I don't do that. I just don't. Like, find the line, draw it, and stick to it. People will respect you for that, and most of the time they're going to come back and say, okay. Unless it's a huge gap, it's rare that I had somebody, not willing to compromise with me on these things. And then finally, tools that are going to help you build your brand. There's your website, which we've already talked about. There's a blog, which we've talked about a little bit. We'll get into more here soon. There's social media, which we'll also get into a little bit more here. I recommend having all this stuff. It's a matter of how much time you have available, how much you want to put in. There's a balance. You obviously want to spend as much time doing as you do promoting and selling. So as you start bringing on projects, you're going to have to rebalance things. Right now, you probably don't have a lot of projects, if any, so you can spend all the time in the world doing this, but you have to think in advance, like what happens when suddenly you have work to do that you've picked up as a freelancer. You're going to have less time for these things, so don't be too overzealous and then have to scale it back too much later. Presence on forums and at industry events. Make sure you are available and present for those things. Local networking opportunities are huge. Whether it's a local chamber of commerce or a local speaking event or a local county fair even. Like, these are all ways you can get out there and interact with people. All those business owners need what you have. Trust me. A lot of them need help online. A lot of them need help with their content, their design, their development, their anything. Honestly, whatever it is, they're going to need help with it. So if you're the one having the conversation with them, you're the one who's going to pick up that work. And then your interactions with clients and how they perceive you are very important. One of the things that I always tried to do is over-deliver on everything I did. I would be super nice. I'd be super responsive. I would always reply to an email within 12 hours. And that's with only checking email 2 or 3 times a day. I would always offer unlimited edits because almost nobody took advantage of that. So, but just offering it made it seem like I was it made it seem like I was standing behind my work, which I was, and B, it just made it seem like I wanted them to succeed, which I did. The goal here is to be a maximum value provider. Any way you can stand out by doing more, do it. It's worth it. The vast majority of people don't take advantage of these extra perks. By offering them, you appear that much more professional and that much more invested in what you're doing. All right, so today's actions: decide how you will brand yourself and on what platforms, where are you going to be and how are you going to be presenting yourself. Create an outline of your target customers and how you're going to contact them. Answer all those questions I gave you. They're in the worksheet attached in the notes below, so you don't have to go back and pause it. They're all there. And then start building your brand. This is who you are. This is who people are going to see and how they're going to interact with you. And one last thing on this, it can change. It might change over time. Like maybe right now you really do just need to make some money and you're okay with that and you understand the ramifications of that. But down the line, if you're successful or if you're building a brand or people start to respect you for what you're doing, that might change. You might decide, you know what, these things are also important to me. These are areas of which I also want to be known. There's nothing wrong with changing that, but just be conscious of it. Don't let your clients and the market dictate to you how you run your business. It should be coming from within, what you want to get out of it. All right? So that's everything for today. Make sure you leave any comments or questions you have below. Access any of the notes and links below as well, so you can get everything you need out of this particular day's content. And then make sure to leave a review, and any comments or questions you have, you can send directly to me. I very much appreciate your feedback. All right, so I will talk to you tomorrow.